I was wrong. Everyone line up and laugh. There's no chance this version of the bill gets put through. There's no way. After all, the GOP-led Senate just put forward a watered-down version of this bill that made it through, and they'd have to pass this bill on an incredibly slim margin, and it's going to have to go through a bunch of follow-up bureaucratic votes, which are going to whittle down the chances of it actually getting passed more and more over time. But yeah, line it up. Everyone, why don't you? Everyone to form an orderly line and get your hand out so that when you pass by me, you can smack me in the balls while I'm bent over, huh? Sorry, my apologies. Well, you know what? I'm an accelerationist now, so I'm actually happy about this. Oh, you're telling me the Republicans passed the insane America destroying bill? Fine. I don't give a shit. At long last, finally, Americans are going to get exactly what they deserve when $800 billion gets cut from Medicaid. Jesus Christ. Oy, oy, oy. 0% chance, huh? There's a version of my initial claim that's still true, which is that the odds of this succeeding, making it all the way to a signed bill into law, not great. Oh, man. So, again, for those of you who weren't following this process, okay, obviously Republicans want to cut taxes for the wealthy. Of course, you know? There were two versions of this bill that got proposed, a version in the Senate, a version in the House. The version in the Senate was less Hitlerite, and it passed. So people thought they were going with that. Trump backed the version in the House, which was more Hitlerite. There were a lot of Republican representatives who weren't keen on the House version because it was too Hitlerite for them. It cuts so much. 4.5 trillion in tax breaks, and that's 4.5 trillion in tax breaks for me, not for you, to be clear. Just so everyone's on board. Actually, a lot of these tax breaks are going to people who are above my income level. I mean, they're really up there. And 2 trillion in spending cuts, most of which seems to be coming from like Medicaid, SNAP, financial assistance, student loans, that kind of stuff. This was the more Hitlerite version of the bill. And right at the last, and Trump was so committed to getting it put through that he was calling undecided representatives, probably to say, like, if you go against me, I'll have Elon kill you, or whatever. Then, and 2 hours before the vote, Trump says apparently he actually hasn't decided which version of the bill he likes more, the Senate or House version. And then, with only one Republican dissenting, they managed to just barely get it in. 217 to 215. Every Democrat opposed, one Republican against. 2 voted nay, then flipped. Cinema. I'm glad I wasn't here for that. I would have popped the damn blood vessel. Anyway, this isn't the end. Next steps are long and cumbersome before anything can become law. Weeks of committee hearings to draft the details and send the House version to the Senate, where Republicans have already passed their scaled-down version. And more big votes are ahead, including an unrelated deal to prevent a government shutdown when federal funding expires March 14th. These talks are underway. So, this is insane. This is an insane bill. Did the more Hitler one pass? Pay attention! Yes. You are correct. Thank you for asking. Several Republican lawmakers worry the scope of the cuts being eyed, particularly some $880 billion over the decade to the committee that handles healthcare spending, including Medicaid, for example, or $230 billion to the Agriculture Committee that handles food stamps, might be too harmful to their constituents back home. Phenomenal stuff. This is not the best news I've heard. It's great if you're an accelerationist. These cuts are going to impact people's lives dramatically. And they're not even making up the shortfall. This administration is going to be deficit spending like a motherfucker. They're trying to shore up the difference with Doge, but they can't, because you can't actually cut government spending the way they want to. You cut government spending by making government more efficient, and you make the government more efficient by not having them pay retail price for the corporate contracts they benefit from. You have to make the government not an instrument of transferring taxpayer wealth to corporations, and they're not going to change that shit, are they? If only they paid retail. Yeah, and they're not retail 10 times or whatever, you know? They haven't even laid out the actual cuts. They knew there wouldn't be enough to cut. They're forced to borrow. Oh, no, we're going to be deficit spending like crazy, which is not going to help with anything. An additional, what was it, 2.5 trillion over 10 years, in addition to the existing deficit? Isn't this what we want? The government fails quickly and swiftly. Oh, no, accelerationists are eating it up. Eating it up. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll see if it actually passes. Again, this has to go into a bunch of, like, you know, follow-up meetings and votes before, like, in addition to the Senate, like, this still has to be deliberated for a while, which means more opportunities for infighting with the Republicans. Please keep it up with the town hall meetings where you have, like, you know, 67-year-old West Virginians coming in to say, I was fine with what Donald Trump and what Elon Musk was doing, but there's no way you're going to be firing no veterans on my account or something. Yeah, I don't care. Whatever. When has accelerationism ever worked out of interest? Easy! If you were a unsympathetic German in 1945, the accelerationism would have led you to say, oh, well, the worse Germany does in the war, the faster we can get this Nazi phase over with. There. You. Easy. I can't believe they passed it, man. I can't believe they did it. It's so destructive. It's so bad. Holy. How does this help anyone? Hey, man, big tax breaks. Big tax breaks. Hold on. Republican budget bill tax breaks. Give me the deets. Give me the deets. I just want the deets. Just a little deets. You got it? No. I want the details, like on the tax brackets, you know? For my own purposes. Cuts aren't finalized. Cuts aren't, but I have seen people talking about the tax brackets and expected average cuts there. Cuts are not finalized. They may increase. Well, I just want the information. I've seen people discuss whatever. They're currently crippling the VA by firing all their contractors and are planning to privatize care. Good. Who cares? Whatever. You're still shocked by the level of evil? Do you think, what are you contributing to this? What is the fake smarm? You really expected better? It's not about evil. I laid out a bunch of complicated bureaucratic, social, and political incentives that might have pulled people against voting for this. You're really surprised, but you as the Gestapo are stomping your face in. Oh, you guys are really surprised? You guys are really surprised that they're doing this? Ooh. And those will be your last words, okay? You want that? Shape up. Thanks to the $2. Does this help? Kind of. No tax breaks unless you've made at least 360,000 or more per year. Your taxes will decrease. Did you make more than 914,900 per year? I did not, so no. On average, your tax will decrease by 7,000. Well, that sounds nice. The budget is being compiled during a lengthy process that first sends instructions to various House and Senate committees, then have several weeks to devise more detailed plans for additional debate and votes. Okay. For what it is worth, I still think this is going to backfire horrendously. If this ends up passing, the amount of harm that'll be done, because think about what those cuts to Medicaid are going to look like, right? Like what, 800 billion over 10 years? That's like a 10 to 15% reduction, and it's going to like vary state to state. A lot of people are going to see the quality of their coverage decrease. State provisions for what allows you to enter into Medicaid are going to tighten to lessen the number of people who are on it. It's got like, it is very obvious harm, you know? Like really, really obvious, straightforward harm. But at the same time, there's so much bureaucracy to get through that basically I'm just glad they're being straightforward with their evil. Basically what I'm saying is I'm not on Medicaid, so I'm fine. I'm really sorry if you are. Or if you benefit from SNAP or, you know, whatever else. Rice and beans, motherfuckers. Hey, stay healthy so you don't need to use Medicaid. I mean it. You need to... Whew. I just got off the Peloton. Myself. Got, was it 229 kilojoules over a 30-minute ride? It was advanced beginner, but I really put the work in. I'm on Medicaid, so are my 2 daughters, also on SNAP. Mildly muscular milk, that's too sad for me to make a joke about. I really hope you like rice and beans and lentils and stuff. You think a tax boycott would be... No, you can't really tax boycott. That's not viable. Well, do you know if this bill can be thrown out prematurely after it's passed? Well, it's passed through the House. It hasn't been signed into law. It can be it can't really be thrown out. It can be voted down in the multiple processes. It's going to be a while before this even has the opportunity to be signed into law, like a long while. It's just the beginning. It's the beginning of a long, painful process. And I would still be surprised if it actually gets signed into law. They might tone it down a lot in all of these following like committee meetings, all the, you know, additions they stamp onto it. This will become law by, I think, October 1st. Honestly, considering how much the honeymoon period seems to be falling off, even in 1 month, yeah, right? Like, sure, give us the next 8 months of Republicans arguing in favor of Medicaid cuts, right? Like, sure, absolutely. Why not? Yeah, just set yourself up for that. You know, that's the position. That's the hill you want to die on. Okay, whatever. Have fun. We're in the worst timeline. It'll be signed by October. Oh, then you know what? Great. Just in time for midterms. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. The accelerationist argument. What does no tax and overtime sound like to you? I don't know. Cop subsidy? Meanwhile, the leader of the opposition. I know. I saw this. I'm going to straight up lose my goddamn mind. I can't handle this, man.
Well, listen, extreme left protest me more than they protest Donald Trump. I mean, literally, wherever I go. So I think in part because I've declined, I've refused, I've chosen not to bend the knee to either people on the far left, and certainly not to Donald Trump and the far right.
This is exactly what we need in this moment. This is like this would be like this would be like in 1933 if there were SPD officials getting like protest. It's like 4 days after Hitler's appointment, and there are SPD officials who are getting like protested against by their constituents who are like, "What the f are you doing?" And the head of the SPD is like, "Listen, it's because I kowtow neither to the Nazis or the KPD that you all voted for me." You know, and then like the next day he's found in a ditch or something. I can't talk about this. I'll get too angry. I can't. I'm not. This is live video content. This isn't like edited where I can get really mad and you all just hear a long continuous bleep. I have to. It's okay. It's okay. I'm an accelerationist now. Hakeem Jeffries being contemptible and worthless actually accelerates the conditions that will allow dissident Democrats to step up and reject him and the vision he has for the party. Ooh, please. When are you going to buy a new camera? Hey, Sleepy Joe Biden, a new camera, probably the Sony A7, is what, $3,000? You're a white name. You want me to get a new camera? In this economy, that's $3K pre-tariffs. Also, I pay taxes, and I pay my editors. So actually, could you give me $9,000?
He joins me now. Congressman, I know you're a no because it's a party line vote. What do you make of the developments today?
Well, I couldn't agree more with my colleague, Representative Aguilar. Ultimately, my Republican colleagues are going to have to answer to the American people as to how they could possibly justify cutting Medicaid to the tune of $800 billion, food assistance to the tune of $200 million, all to pay for, in part, tax cuts for the richest Americans, billionaires and corporations. It's
also unrelated, but can we stop gassing up Stephen Smith, the guy who was talking to Hakeem Jeffries? Because he's like, oh, I want to be president. And what's his message? He wants to be like a Bill Clinton Democrat. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? That's the shit you're on because he's a charismatic, funny sports guy. Jesus.
Trail of the middle class, and as you've noted on this program, not a single Democrat voted in support of this proposal tonight for exactly that reason. It's a reckless economic scheme that I ultimately believe will be deeply unpopular with the American people, and we're already starting to see some of that outrage in the town halls that have developed across the country over just the last few days. It's unfortunate that none of my Republican colleagues, at least at this juncture, it appears, are willing to stand up for their own constituents, but we'll have to see how this
high-minded
unfolds.
rhetoric.
It's always dangerous to do budget math like live on the air, but something I think is worth noting here is that $3.5 trillion is to extend the parts of the Trump tax cuts that are going to expire, which are only expiring because they wanted to kind of like artificially reduce the size of them, right? So Largely the sort of overwhelming benefits go to the wealthiest households. I think the top 5% gets about half of that value. Think about that for a second. But then because they want to add another business tax cut and more tax cuts on top of it, that's why they got to go hunting in the fields of Medicaid to try to cut that stuff to go more, right? Do I have that?
Yeah, we're seeing low taxes, the likes of which basically like unthinkable in a developed country. We are cutting that shit down to the fucking bone.
Right?
Your math is spot on. You've articulated well precisely what this economic scheme seeks to do, and it's on the backs of hardworking Americans who rely on Medicaid, which, as you've covered extensively on your program, a lot of Americans ultimately rely on these programs. You know, you think about the Americans in Colorado and Washington State and California, from coast to coast, each of whom are trying to access life-saving care through the Affordable Care Act or through Medicaid, who ultimately will lose their health care by virtue of this bill, if this resolution is ultimately signed into law. So the stakes are incredibly high, and you've articulated well why they are doing it. They are doing it to pay for, in part, because, of course, this bill would increase the deficit, as Tom Massey, Republican.
This doesn't tell the whole story because it doesn't tell you how many people are covered by the top marginal tax rate. However, you can see pretty clearly, like, everything that FDR did to rebuild the country was built on rich people opening up their billfolds and dumping money out into the treasury. And since then, it's just been a gradual decline, just a steady drop down. With the exception of this was HW, right? Right? Yeah, would have had to be. Yeah, no Clinton. Was this Clinton? This rise right here at 1990? No, that'd be because Bill was after 92, so he would start like right here. Wasn't this HW raising taxes like right? Yeah, Bush Senior. Yeah, it was right before Bill Clinton's term. Based HW? Based? Whatever, it's sort of irrelevant to the point. The point is that the number's gone down quite a bit. Yeah, the no new taxes controversy.
Member, of course, from Kentucky has noted, and apparently Elon Musk concurred with earlier today. But it's purely to pay for tax cuts for the richest Americans. We believe that that's deeply unfair and imprudent, and we're hoping that through this process at some point Republicans will read the room and join us in defending.
Yeah, this is maybe a better chart provided by Mother Jones. Average total tax rates by income group, and you have the bottom 50% and the top 1%. And you can see that since the 1950s, on average, the amount, the average tax rate paid by the bottom 50% has gone up and leveled right around here. Whereas there's been a slow, jagged, but nonetheless steady decline in the tax rate of the top 1%, despite the top 1% making proportionally far more money now than they did back then. Like, the top 1% in 1950, that's a very different group of people than the top 1% now. Oh, here's the same information, but even more striated. Lower taxes for the highest earners. You have the top 0.01%, the top 1%, the top 20%, and then the remaining quintiles. And as you can see, for all the people down here, taxes have remained fairly steady, maybe a slight upward, kind of a little bit. It's pretty even. But for the people up here, kerplunk. There you go. I mean, I know this is very like day one leftism or whatever, but like, damn, you know, look at that. Reagan. Oh, and this stops in 04 too. I didn't realize when it cut off there. Yeah, this is striated even more because of Trump. There's a million ways to parse this data, but it always looks the same.
Class Americans.
I should note that they have the number that they need, 217. So this is going to pass as budget resolution. We sort of expected all day that it would, although, again,
I didn't. To be clear, again, I'll take that one on the chest. You can all flick my balls over that one. I didn't think that. I assumed that because Trump's support wavered in the final 2 hours, that there'd be enough dissenting votes to send it back. But, you know.
I said this with Sahil, I think it's just important because one of the dynamics here is Trump has been acting as a king or playing the role of king. He called himself a king. Elon Musk has been playing the role of like CEO, like the worst boss you've ever had in your life. And part of that is because they hate Congress, because Congress, they don't really like the constitutional order.
Who's the one least retarded Republican who didn't vote for it? Was it Thomas Massey? I think he was the one Republican who didn't vote for it.
But part of it is because they can't pass the things they're trying to do by executive
Massey
fiat,
sucks too,
right? Like,
well, yeah, he's a Republican.
Am I wrong about that? Is there? Do they have the votes to do the kind of stuff that the cuts they're doing, sort of by fiat? Do you think they could pass them in the House?
I think that remains an open question, Chris. I mean, I will just say I have been astounded to see my colleagues on the other side of the aisle capitulate time and time again. You could go back to the impeachment trial of 4 years ago that you covered so extensively. And clearly, if past is prologue, that's likely to continue. But I don't disagree with you that the flooding of the zone with these lawless and unconstitutional executive orders, clearly there are some things they would like to do in the Congress that they simply don't have sufficient votes for. And ultimately, that's why they've decided on this unconstitutional course that they've been pursuing that's been rebuffed in so many federal courts.
Where the fuck were those three Dems? I don't know. I was on the Peloton. I was eating food. I'm still pretty hungry, to be honest. I'll look up later.
But if tonight's vote is any indication, it's clear that Republicans intend to support President Trump every step of the way, irrespective of how much harm will come to the American people, as I believe that we're going to see if this bill is signed into law.
They're in the hospital. One of them is giving birth. Simply give birth on the Congress floor. Yeah. So anyway, I guess my summary after all of this is that I am astounded that following the wavering of confidence from Donald Trump in the final hour, that they nonetheless put it through. I still don't think this framework is going to survive all the way to October. But man, dude, this gives us so much ammunition to give them shit. You know that we're going to have all these follow-up committee votes where we're going to see Republicans have to argue because they're going to have to specifically say it. Right now, the framework of the bill does not say cut $800 billion for Medicaid. What it says is cut cut $1 trillion or whatever from the branch of government that manages Medicaid. But in the specifics, they're going to have to litigate exactly what gets cut. Yeah, over 10 years, what gets cut, and it's just going to provide a lot of ammunition, you know? They're already getting their town hall protests 1 month in, before these tariffs even really kick off. I've well, no more town halls. Yep, there you go. Less than an hour ago, hot off the press, House Republicans hit the brakes on town halls after blowback over Trump's cuts. There you go. Literally, there you go. Phenomenal. This has to be bad for them long term. It's not great for them long term. They are going to try to stem the bleeding by just not giving people ammunition to protest against them. If we don't show up in public, then we can't get protested against in public, so clips of us getting protested against can't go viral on social media. But that animosity does not go away. Gonna hound those asses. Don't forget the press secretary just recently said the White House will choose which reporters get access to Trump. We always knew this was coming. We always knew this was the direction that they were going to take. But yes, they will, as they do increasingly unpopular things, like all dictators, they will try to limit their exposure to, dissident voices, whether they be from the press or from the public. But every dictator in history has tried this, and it has never worked in preventing public backlash. It literally has never worked. The discontent remains. It is a strategy. It doesn't get rid of the discontent. Chinese century? True. The Chinese Communist Party has always freely allowed debate and dissent from the population. Always an open forum. Words from the guy who flipped. This guy's a dipshit, but, sure.
Burchett just leaving the Capitol. Had to get away from all the press.
No, this is Tim Burchett. The dissenting voice was Thomas Massey, wasn't it? This ain't that guy.
Back there, so I could do my video. I voted for it because...
See, he voted for it. But he's doing the standard pussy Republican thing, where he's like, I'll go along with Trump's agenda, but just so you know, I'm deeply concerned about this. Play it, I want to be mad.
There are tax cuts in this thing. We're shrinking. Actually, there really are real cuts. And there is tax relief for the middle class, which is always good, which helps our economy, which has helped our economy in the past, and it continues to do
He initially said he was against the bill, but he switched his vote literally last second. Cinema. Glad I wasn't here for it.
that. And there's border security in this bill. So
He sounds like being held hostage. If he initially voted no and switched his vote to yes last second, that means that someone took him out behind the shed and showed him where his brains would be painted against if he didn't switch his vote, okay? 100%.
look, it's not everything you want, but I'm a believer if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And dadgummit, the American taxpayer has been on the menu a whole lot. So hopefully we'll move ahead. The Senate version actually spends more. Actually, there are not actual cuts in it, and I don't worry about it. So we'll see what
He's really acting like a person who has deep convictions that he's abided by. You know, you can really feel it. Why is he throwing shade at the Senate? What is he supposed to do? Get on camera and say, hey, just so you guys know, I was against this, but I was threatened. Sorry. Is this a W for the accelerationism? Yes. Or are we taking the L with the weak-ass Dems? The Dems didn't really do anything wrong here. I mean, every Democrat voted against it. There's literally nothing else they can do in this case. Like, this is a procedural vote. It's not, you know, a popularity contest thing. Yeah. They only have a razor-thin margin, Nikki Bugs. Not enough to play around with. I really don't think Dems will learn this. But this isn't about Dems. According to AOC, it'll have to come back for a final vote. Yeah. Again, this isn't going to get passed for quite a while. I mean, this isn't going to be passed to the White House for Trump to sign for quite a while. As AOC says, need constant pressure on GOP. Focus on GOP swing seats in key committees. Energy and commerce is where the Medicaid fight will go down. Weigh in means for tax fight. Can we keep the tax cuts, but preserve Medicaid? Can we a little bit, just a little bit? What do you tell viewers that are currently on Medicaid? Get in shape, fatty. Listen, okay. I'm not saying it's fair. Life isn't fair, okay? Time to up to this. Get your ass get your ass in shape. You do not know how long Medicaid is going to be able to take care of you. I don't think exercise will help my friend's cancer, man. You don't know that. Mods add one electron to every one of Vosh's atoms. The agonizing scream as I vanish into an ether of red mist. Yeah. Accelerationists stay winning.